Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama was a defining moment in the civil rights movement and most recently inspired an Oscar-nominated film. The events of March 21st were recognized nationally, but what you may not know is that students from North Central College took part in the march. 1965 was a turbulent time in the civil rights movement, punctuated on March 7th when a group of peaceful protesters were brutally attacked as they attempted a march from Selma to Montgomery, stopped at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. That day, forever known as Bloody Sunday, awoke a nation's consciousness and struck a chord with one man here in Naperville. The late George St. Angelo was the first chaplain of North Central College and was no stranger to racism.
I came from a background that was very open, and my dad and mother were involved in the racial situation in our little town. And so it was, and my dad particularly was the object of Ku Klux Klan.
Hoping to begin a dialogue here at North Central, St. Angelo invited the founder of the Congress on Racial Equality, James Farmer, to give a speech on campus. His words on taking action were powerful and effective. They spurred St. Angelo to organize a trip to Selma to join Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on another march held on March 21st. 120 North Central College students, staff, and faculty joined him to take part in what would become a historic protest.
Oh, it changed them. I think, I'm trying to remember, but we had 3 busloads, and I think we must have had filled 2 of them from North Central. The chaplain from Elmhurst, he had a bunch. And then people heard about it, and so we filled the buses. It had an impact on the campus, no doubt about that.
Catherine Agnew was among those on the bus. Recently graduated from North Central, she chose to serve as a chaperone, driven to take a stand against inequality. Her memories of that day were still vivid decades later.
Dr. Martin Luther King spoke that morning on the steps of the church. He was such a marvelous speaker, you know. But as I recall, he really pitched the moment of when we would cross the bridge and then step off the Pettus Bridge as marking such a significant answer to what had happened on the Pettus Bridge, and nobody got to step off on the other side. We were in rows, and Jerry Goethe was in a row a couple ahead of me. And when I saw him step off the bridge, and then moments later I did, that really stays in my mind as something that was so moving.
Dr. King famously asked that day, "How long?"
Yes, sir. How long, not long. Yes, sir. Because no lie can live forever. Yes, sir.
And it was not long. 5 months later, President Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act into law on August 6, 1965, enacting the legislation to guarantee voting rights for all Americans. A historic moment for not only the nation, but for those who boarded the buses at North Central that day, riding toward a new tomorrow.